It was the night of December 1st, 2010, in a quiet suburban neighborhood where the Payette family lived. The tranquility of their peaceful home was suddenly shattered. Nathan Payette, a dedicated U.S. Air Force sergeant, was preparing to head out for his late-night shift. However, as he stepped into the garage, multiple gunshots rang out. Nathan was ambushed and struck by several bullets. Mortally wounded, he managed to stumble back inside the house, collapsing in front of his horrified family as they witnessed the tragic event. Nathan Payette was born on February 12, 1982, on the island of Guam, a tropical paradise known for its beautiful beaches and tight-knit community. Nathan was one of 5 children in the Payette family, raised with values of respect, love, and support. Described by friends and family as warm-hearted, kind, and obedient, Nathan exhibited a playful and adventurous side, especially when it came to his love for the ocean. Surfing and paddleboarding on the island's crystal-clear waters were among his favorite activities, and he was known for his infectious smile and lively personality. He also had a fun side, often earning the title of the best dancer at cultural events, which further endeared him to everyone around him. Growing up in Guam, Nathan developed a deep sense of family and community, which would guide many of his life decisions. His charming personality and genuine nature led him to Michelle, a high school classmate who would become the love of his life. Their bond was instant, and they soon began dating. Their love blossomed quickly, and not long after, they welcomed their first child, marking the start of a family built on love and commitment. Guam, an unincorporated territory of the United States, played a pivotal role in shaping Nathan's future. Though not a state, Guam's unique status allowed its residents to hold U.S. citizenship while maintaining their distinct island culture. This status also provided opportunities for young Guamanians like Nathan to pursue careers in the U.S. Armed Forces. In April 2002, driven by a desire to serve his country and support his growing family, Nathan joined the U.S. Air Force. This decision set the stage for a long and dedicated military career, leading Nathan away from the beaches of Guam to various assignments across the United States. Despite the physical distance from his home island, Nathan remained deeply connected to his roots, often reflecting on his upbringing and the values instilled in him during his formative years. Nathan Payette's career in the U.S. Air Force began in April 2002, immediately marking the start of a journey defined by dedication, skill, and ambition. His first assignment was at Elmendorf Air Force Base in Alaska, where he served as a member of the Aircraft Weapons Support Team. He gained a reputation for being a hardworking and dependable airman, playing a crucial role in ensuring the readiness and effectiveness of military aircraft. In 2006, Nathan was transferred to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Arizona, taking on the role of Chief of Weapons Loading for the Thunderbolt ground attack aircraft within the fighter squadron. That same year, Nathan and Michelle were married, cementing their long-term relationship. In his commitment to continual growth and learning, Nathan began training in logistics preparation and materials management in 2007. He later moved to Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, where he worked as an entry supervisor for the 99th Squadron. By this time, he had risen through the ranks to become a technical sergeant, leading the F-15 aircraft supply section for the 757th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron. Outside of his demanding military career, Nathan's heart belonged to his family. By the time they settled in Nevada, Nathan and Michelle were parents to 4 children, their ages ranging from 9 to 2 years old. Nathan's devotion to his wife and kids was unwavering. While balancing his career, he coached his children's t-ball team, and his bond with them was evident in every interaction. To provide for his family, Nathan worked night shifts for extra income, ensuring they had a stable and happy life. Michelle, accustomed to the military lifestyle, managed the household, took care of the children's activities, and held a telemarketing job. Together, they built a life based on love, teamwork, and a strong sense of responsibility. December 1st, 2010 started as a normal day for the Payette family. The routine was familiar. Nathan was preparing for his late-night shift while Michelle managed the household and cared for their 4 children. However, unlike usual, Michelle wasn't feeling well and decided to come home earlier than expected. The family gathered for dinner, shared some time together in the living room, and Nathan took a nap to prepare for his upcoming shift. The day felt no different from countless others for the close-knit family. At 11 p.m., Nathan woke up rushing to get ready for his shift. Donning his camouflage uniform, he left the house around 11:30 p.m. to head to the garage and start his car. Moments later, the quiet suburban night was pierced by the sound of multiple gunshots. Nathan was ambushed and struck 5 times, causing him to stumble back into the house. Covered in blood, he collapsed in front of his terrified family. Michelle, frantic and in shock, dialed 911 to report the shooting and her husband's grave injuries. Despite emergency responders' best efforts, Nathan was pronounced dead at the hospital, leaving his family devastated. Detective Todd Williams of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police was the first to arrive at the scene. He found the garage door open, revealing a pool of blood on the floor, blood splatters on the walls, and stains around Nathan's weight bench and inside his vehicle. Part of Nathan's bloodied uniform lay on the floor where paramedics had left it. The violent crime deeply shocked the detective, as the Payette home was located in what was considered a very safe suburban neighborhood. The detectives began to piece together the possible motives for Nathan's murder. Theories ranged from potential hidden troubles in Nathan's life, like gambling debts, financial struggles, or an affair, to a targeted attack or even a random act of violence. Given Nathan's military background, the detectives also had to consider if his service or work had placed him in any danger. To uncover any clues, investigators examined Nathan's phone records and personal history. They found no evidence of hidden issues, no illicit relationships, gambling debts, or suspicious contacts were present. Instead, they discovered a devoted family man with a phone filled with photos of his wife and children. Nathan's life seemed simple and honest, showing no reason to suspect any behavior that could have led to such a brutal crime. As detectives canvassed the neighborhood, witnesses reported hearing the gunshots and seeing a black car speeding away shortly after. Others mentioned spotting a man in a brown or tan hoodie fleeing the scene. These details provided some leads, but the mystery behind Nathan's murder remained largely unsolved, leaving detectives to unravel who could have wanted to harm a loving father and dedicated serviceman. As investigators delved deeper into the life of Nathan Payette, they began to unravel tensions within his seemingly perfect family life. Nathan's family, still in shock and grief, opened up about the underlying financial difficulties and strains in Nathan and Michelle's marriage. Although they appeared to have a stable and happy family on the surface, the Payettes were struggling financially. Nathan's devotion to working extra shifts and his constant efforts to make ends meet were taking a toll. Family members noted a growing tension between Nathan and Michelle, especially concerning their financial troubles and the stress of raising 4 young children. Nathan's brother, Eric, and his sister-in-law, Veronica, were particularly candid about what they had noticed. They revealed that the couple, while loving and supportive of each other, had faced challenges and were not as close as they once were. During a family Thanksgiving gathering shortly before the murder, both Eric and Veronica sensed a strain in their relationship. Nathan and Michelle appeared to be merely tolerating each other rather than showing affection, and the atmosphere between them was tense. Veronica also noticed that their pantry and refrigerator were nearly empty, suggesting that their financial situation was more dire than anyone knew. In a second interview with investigators, Michelle admitted that the family was indeed facing serious financial issues, which was one of the reasons Nathan worked double shifts. She disclosed that their money problems were causing friction in their marriage, leading to growing stress and arguments. However, the most surprising confession came when Michelle admitted to flirting with other men at her telemarketing job. She pointed to a co-worker named Michael Rodriguez, who, coincidentally, drove a black car similar to the one witnesses described fleeing the scene on the night of the murder. Michelle's revelation about her interactions with Michael led detectives to wonder if there was more to their relationship than she was letting on. Michael Rodriguez quickly became a person of interest in the case. At 31 years old, he already had a criminal record that included convictions for forgery and theft. Despite this, he maintained that he was not involved in Nathan's murder and claimed to have no romantic interest in Michelle. Nevertheless, the detectives were skeptical. As they scrutinized his background and ties to Michelle, they discovered that the two had a close relationship that went beyond mere flirtation. The detectives requested to speak with Michael, who agreed to come to the station voluntarily and answer their questions. While Michael denied any involvement in the crime, an analysis of his communications with Michelle painted a different picture. A series of suspicious text messages between them alluded to a contract and mentioned a client named Van Dyke. Investigators suspected that these were code words, likely referring to the murder plot. One message from Michael to Michelle, sent on the night of the crime, read that he hoped she was feeling better and stated he would finish the Van Dyke contract by morning. Michelle's response was equally alarming. She replied that she had taken her medication, was resting, and that her husband had just woken her up as he rushed out the door. It appeared that the contract in this case was Nathan himself, and these messages were thinly veiled references to the impending murder. The investigation took a dramatic turn when a key witness came forward with critical information. A woman named Shannon approached detectives, visibly anxious and fearful for her safety. She revealed that she had been coerced into lying to provide Michael Rodriguez with a false alibi on the night of the murder. Shannon explained that she had been at an apartment in Henderson where she was in the company of Michael and two other individuals, Jessica, who lived at the apartment, and Jessica's partner, Corey. According to Shannon, Michael, Jessica, and Corey had been part of the murder plot. Corey, a 33-year-old man with an extensive criminal record for robbery, possession of a stolen vehicle, grand theft, armed robbery, and fraudulent use of a credit card, was a known associate of Michael. On the night of Nathan's murder, Shannon recounted how Michael and Corey left the apartment in a black Cadillac to commit a robbery, which Jessica described as targeting a heroin dealer. Shannon was led to believe that she was there to help provide an alibi. Jessica, trying to maintain the cover story, lit a fire in the apartment's fireplace while Michael and Corey were gone. When the men returned, Shannon was shocked to see them destroy their phones, burn their clothes in the fire, and clean themselves with bleach. They also sprayed air freshener to cover any lingering odors. Shannon overheard the men admitting to shooting Nathan, at which point she realized that this was not a robbery gone wrong, but a planned murder. Overcome by fear and guilt, she decided to come forward and tell the police everything she knew. Shannon's testimony provided detectives with the breakthrough they needed. They quickly sought to verify her claims by checking surveillance footage and records from the Sunset Station Hotel, where Michael claimed he had been at the time of the murder. The footage confirmed that Michael did enter the hotel with Shannon, but crucially, this occurred 40 minutes after the crime, not at 11 o'clock p.m. as he had previously stated. Armed with Shannon's testimony and the surveillance footage, detectives executed a search warrant at Jessica and Corey's apartment. They discovered blue latex gloves, air freshener from a well-known department store, and traces of burnt clothing in the fireplace. All of this corroborated Shannon's story and connected Michael and Corey to the crime. Faced with mounting evidence, Michelle was brought in for another round of questioning. During this interrogation, she admitted to having an affair with Michael and confessed that he had devised the plan to kill Nathan. The motive, according to Michelle, was Nathan's military life insurance policy, which would pay out $400,000 upon his death, as well as an additional $250,000 from a separate policy. Michelle claimed that while she initially agreed to the plan, she later regretted her decision and attempted to sabotage it. She said that she intentionally turned off Nathan's alarm clock so he would wake up late and miss the time the killers expected him to leave. She also did not unlock his truck as instructed by Michael, hoping to thwart the plan. However, detectives did not believe her version of events. The text messages between Michelle and Michael clearly showed that she was an active participant in the conspiracy, providing updates and helping orchestrate the timeline of the murder. The evidence revealed the dark truth. Michelle had betrayed her husband and conspired to have him killed to be with her lover and collect the life insurance payout. With overwhelming evidence in hand, detectives moved quickly to make arrests in the case of Nathan Payette's murder. Within a matter of days, the four key players, Michael Rodriguez, Corey, Jessica, and Michelle, were all taken into custody and charged. The charges against them included first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and conspiracy to commit robbery. The arrest of Michelle Payette, Nathan's wife, added an even more tragic dimension to the case, as she was not only a co-conspirator, but also the person who stood to gain the most from Nathan's death. The primary motive behind the murder plot was financial. Detectives uncovered that Michelle and Michael had plotted to kill Nathan to claim his life insurance money. As a U.S. Air Force technical sergeant, Nathan had a military life insurance policy worth $400,000. In addition, he held a separate policy valued at $250,000. The payout from these policies, totaling $650,000, would go to Michelle as the beneficiary. Michelle's text messages revealed her intimate involvement in the murder plan, exposing that she had not only approved but actively participated in orchestrating her husband's death. She provided details to Michael and the others about Nathan's schedule, habits, and the best time to strike, further confirming her role in the conspiracy. Following their arrests, all 4 suspects were brought before the court. Initially, they pleaded not guilty, denying any involvement in the murder. However, as the legal process unfolded and the prosecution laid out the extensive evidence against them, plea deals and confessions emerged over time. Michael Rodriguez, the primary hitman and Michelle's lover, became the first to reconsider his stance. In September 2015, Michael struck a deal with prosecutors to avoid the death penalty, which was initially on the table given the severity and premeditation of the crime. By pleading guilty, Michael secured a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of appeal or parole. Michelle Payette's trial was particularly emotional and tense, as she faced the family she had betrayed. In October 2015, she appeared in a Las Vegas courtroom where she had to confront Nathan's grieving family, including his parents, siblings, and in-laws. Throughout the trial, Michelle maintained a tearful and remorseful demeanor. She issued an emotional apology to Nathan's family, stating that she deeply regretted her actions and hoped that her sentencing would bring them closure. Despite her outward displays of regret, Michelle continued to argue that her lover Michael had manipulated her into going through with the murder and that she had attempted to sabotage the plan on the night of the killing. The evidence against Michelle, however, told a different story. The text messages between her and Michael painted a picture of a calculated plan in which she was fully complicit. Prosecutors argued that her remorse was nothing more than an attempt to garner sympathy and reduce her punishment. In her final plea to the court, Michelle pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder and first-degree murder with a deadly weapon. Although she tried to mitigate her role, the judge and jury were convinced of her active participation and betrayal. Her sentence was left pending, and she remained behind bars awaiting the final judicial decision. The trials of Corey and Jessica, the other 2 accomplices in the murder plot, continued in parallel. Corey, who had an extensive criminal record and participated in the execution of the murder, also eventually admitted his guilt. To avoid the death penalty, Corey entered into a plea deal similar to Michael's. In exchange for his confession, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, as the judge deemed him a danger to society. His involvement in the murder, coupled with his prior offenses, left little room for leniency in sentencing. Jessica, Corey's girlfriend and an accomplice to the cover-up, played a less direct role in the murder. She was present when the evidence was destroyed and had lied to police to provide a false alibi for Michael and Corey. Her actions were criminal, but given her lesser involvement and cooperation with the authorities, she received a more lenient sentence. Jessica pleaded guilty to a felony charge of conspiracy to commit murder. Instead of prison, she was placed under house arrest, serving her time away from a traditional correctional facility. Her sentencing took into account her eventual cooperation and the comparatively minor role she played in the actual planning and execution of Nathan's murder. The arrests and subsequent trials brought some measure of closure to Nathan Payette's family, though the pain of his loss remained a heavy burden. The conspirators faced justice, each serving their respective sentences for their roles in the crime. For Nathan's parents, siblings, and children, the truth of Michelle's betrayal and the gruesome details of the murder were a devastating reality. The sentencing of the suspects marked the end of a legal journey, but the scars left by the violent murder of a loving father, husband, and Air Force sergeant would continue to affect those who knew and loved Nathan Payette for years to come. The final chapter of this tragic case came with Michelle Payette's sentencing. After pleading guilty to conspiracy to commit murder and first-degree murder with a deadly weapon, Michelle was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The judge's condemnation was scathing, as he described her actions as incomprehensibly sinister, emphasizing that Michelle had played a far more substantial role in her husband's murder than she was willing to admit. She would be haunted by the fact that she had sacrificed her husband, the father of her children, for financial gain in an affair. As the gavel fell, marking the end of the trial, Nathan's family faced Michelle one last time. In a powerful moment, Nathan's mother spoke directly to her daughter-in-law. She explained that while she chose to forgive Michelle out of her faith, she believed that Michelle deserved to spend the rest of her life imprisoned. It was a fitting response for a woman who had not only betrayed her marriage vows, but also orchestrated the murder of a man who deeply loved his wife and children. The words of Nathan's mother lingered as Michelle was led away to serve her life sentence. Sentiments of forgiveness, but also the belief that Michelle should never see a free day again for the terrible pain she caused her family. Nathan's 4 children were left in the care of their grandparents. The trauma and loss they experienced would follow them for the rest of their lives, with reminders of their father's murder and their mother's betrayal shaping their childhood and future. Despite the extensive therapy they underwent, the scars left behind by the crime would never completely heal. As the story comes to a close, we remember Nathan Payette as a loving husband, dedicated father, and proud Air Force sergeant, whose life was cut short by the actions of those closest to him. This case reminds us of how betrayal, greed, and manipulation can tear a family apart and leave a permanent mark on all involved. If you're interested in learning about more intriguing true crime stories, especially those that delve into the complexities of human behavior and criminal acts, be sure to check out our new channel. There you'll find more compelling narratives and mysteries from around the world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the tragic case of Nathan Payette. We appreciate your time and interest in unraveling these true crime mysteries. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into real-life criminal cases. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.